All right, you guys, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that you guys are here today and that you're interested in learning more about what I do as a coach. This is going to be an awesome week. Today is day one of our week in this exclusive coaching mentorship group. So I'm pumped that you guys are here and really excited to totally divulge into all the different parts of coaching and what's gotten me to where I'm at in my life right now. So for anybody who does not know who I am, my name is Autumn Harris. I am a part-time online health and wellness coach and a full-time veterinarian living in Montana currently. So today is essentially day one of our group, and today I'm going to be talking about my story. Okay, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a background as far as like who I am and how I grew up and how I got to where I'm at right now as a part-time coach. Okay, and a little bit about where if we have time at the end, I'll talk about where I'm planning to go as far as my coaching goes. So first things first, I grew up in Northwest Arkansas, okay? I grew up on a small farm, and for as long as I can remember, had this overwhelming passion for animals, okay? More specifically, helping animals, okay? So as long as I can remember, I would bring home hurt birds, hurt little chickens. I would be completely encompassed and intrigued anytime we had to have the vet come out or the vet go take our animals to the vet. I grew up surrounded by a lot of animals, so horses, cows, dogs, cats, chickens, all of it. You name it, we had it. And so about the time I was around 4 years old is when I decided that I wanted to be a veterinarian. I loved animals so much, and I wanted to be the person that helped them, that fixed them, right? And that's kind of where the beginning of my passion for animals was. So when I was 4 years old, my dad got me my first horse. And that right there, I have a huge passion for horses, okay? And that right there is when my my passion for horses really blossomed, which fed into, my passion for animals, okay? And so as a kid, I grew up in a very busy household, okay? So my grandparents lived right next door to me and my parents, and my grandparents were retired, and so they took care of most of the animals, the horses and the cows and goats, and my grandpa had milk cows. He had baby calves. One of my absolute fondest memories of my grandfather is helping him go down. I went every single day that I could down to feed the animals in the evenings. And while he had bottle babies, so calves that he bottle fed, he bought them at the sale, brought them home, raised them, and then they had their own babies. So I would sit on the back of the calves while he was bottle feeding them. And that's like when I loved doing that. Of all kinds of pictures, and I just love that memory. So I grew up in a very busy household. So my father is a independent contractor. He does construction, owns his own company. At the time when I was a little girl, he was building up his business. So he was very busy. He was working a lot of hours, trying to help my grandpa because he was elderly and he had a lot of animals and a lot of projects. And so he was trying to help him do that. My mom also owned a clothing store, so she was also working. So we were not the type of family that sat down every single night and had a home-cooked meal by any means. We were the type of family that ate a lot of fast food, a lot of meals on the go. We ate out a lot. So as a kid growing up, I didn't really learn the fundamentals of nutrition. I didn't really learn that you're supposed to eat vegetables and you're supposed to eat this amount of carbs and you're supposed to eat this amount of fat. I didn't really learn that. And I didn't really learn a lot about the food groups other than what I, of course, learned in school. And so I basically just ate whatever my parents did, whatever they were eating, whatever they put in front of us is what I ate. And so they were not we weren't the picture of health, if you will. My parents didn't go to the gym. They didn't exercise. They were active. They lived an active lifestyle, but it was mainly working and not a lot of exercising and in the gym type of things, right? And so when I turned in my teenage years is when I really started to get into the sport of rodeo, okay? And so during that time frame, I was doing a lot of traveling on the weekends. So primarily me and my dad would be gone just about every weekend to a rodeo. We'd be gone all weekend long. We'd be on the road. And so we didn't do any of this like food prep, meal prep kind of thing. We would eat whatever it was that we had. We would stop and eat fast food. We would get home at 2:00 in the morning from a rodeo and hadn't eaten all day, and we'd stop at the Waffle Hut, and I would get a huge waffle and just drown it in syrup because that's what I wanted, and I didn't know any better. And so as I was growing up in my teenage years, I was very active, okay? Like I said, I did rodeo. And so every single day when I got home from school, I would ride my horses for 2 or 3 hours, okay? And that's how I spent my afternoons. One thing that is a little bit important as part of my story, I do have a skin condition that prevented me from playing sports. So when I was in school, I desperately wanted to be a cheerleader or be on dance, but I unfortunately was not able to because of my skin condition. But rodeo was something that I could do, and was something I was really passionate about. So that is kind of how I stayed active, was with my horses and doing my horseback riding. So for the most part, especially towards the beginning of high school, I was able to maintain my weight relatively well, even though my diet wasn't very good, because I was constantly moving. I was constantly doing stuff. I was active. I was going on the go all the time. But somewhere around my junior year of high school is when I really started to develop some self-image problems. I saw all these other girls that were cheerleaders or in dance or playing sports, and I was envious of them for a number of reasons. One, because I was not able to play any kind of sport and I wanted to. I had friends that did. And two, they physically looked different than me. They were skinnier than me. They were more athletic and more fit than me because they did the stuff, right? And so I wanted to be more like those girls, okay? I wanted to look more like them. So I discovered Tae Bo. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Tae Bo, but it is a kickboxing workout program that was designed by Billy Blanks, who's an African-American trainer. Super awesome, okay? I discovered Tae Bo. I started doing Tae Bo from home. I was feeling really good. This kind of exercise was short enough where I could do it even with my skin condition. And so I started doing Tae Bo. I got some great results, even though I wasn't changing my diet. I lost about 10 pounds. I was feeling a lot better about myself. I still had these self-image issues because as opposed to wanting to be healthier, I wanted to be skinny and I wanted to look like these people that I idolized. But I was feeling better about myself because I had lost some weight and was looking better. My physique was looking more in line with what I wanted. And so I was feeling better about myself. But I didn't change my nutrition. I never learned anything different about how I should eat and how that plays into it. I just started doing the exercise. I was feeling good. The endorphins were flowing. I was enjoying the exercise part of it, okay? So, after that, I graduated high school and I went on to college, okay? And so moving on to college was a huge change, just like it is for anybody. And I right away gained that freshman 15 because my nutrition sucked, right? I ate a bunch of junk. I partied. I had a good time. I obviously did my studying and all of that. I was sitting around a lot studying, right? And I wasn't very active. And so I was still doing my rodeo stuff because I did rodeo in college, but it was different, right? And so this was a huge turning point because this is where I started to develop a really unhealthy relationship with exercise and with my self-image, okay? Because when I gained that 15 pounds, I was very unhappy with the way that I looked. I was not comfortable in my own skin. I was not comfortable in my own clothes. I did not feel good about myself, okay? And so as opposed to learning about my nutrition and how that played into things, I turned to exercise because exercise had worked for me before, right? So I started going to the gym. I was going to college. I had a gym right there accessible. I started getting on the treadmill, and I would get on the treadmill for an hour a day or on the elliptical for an hour a day. And I started to see some results that way. And then I thought, well, I'll try something that like a keto diet or, one of these fad kind of diets that's worked for all of these other people out there, right? So this was when my years of yo-yo dieting started. So so here we are, I'm around 20-ish years old. So from that point for the next 7 years while I was in college, I spent that time gaining and losing the same 10 to 15 pounds, 20 pounds even, over and over and over again, okay? Because I would yo-yo diet and I would try to exercise my weight off. So if I was like, oh, I'm gonna eat this 1,000-calorie nacho whatever, then I would just go to the gym the next day and I would burn off 1,000 calories, and I thought that would be fine because calories are calories. I had no idea how carbohydrates, fat, fiber, all of those things play into your body and your weight and how you feel. I had no idea how your water intake plays into all of that. I just didn't understand that. And to me, I just wanted to lose the weight. I wanted to look like these women that I idolized, right? Because in my brain, I was like, oh, I just want to look like them. I'm fat. I'm ugly. Like, I just want to look like them. That's what I want, right? I was mean to myself. I was mean to my brain. So when in around 2010 is when I first discovered P90X. Okay, that's when I first discovered P90X. And because I really have enjoyed doing exercise, I was like, well, this is something I can do from home. I'm going to start doing P90X. I did P90X. I got great results. Well, I shouldn't say great. I got results. I did Insanity after that. I got results, but I didn't change my diet, you guys, because again, I didn't think that was part of this. I thought I could just exercise my way to looking like these women that I had idolized and built in my head as who I wanted to look like, okay? So in 2012, I was about to get married, okay? And I decided that I wanted to be skinny. Not fit, not healthy. I wanted to be skinny for my wedding. So I decided to go on Weight Watchers, okay? I went on Weight Watchers. I got down to 123 pounds. I ate around 1,000 calories a day, and I exercised about 2 hours every single day. Incredibly unhealthy, you guys. I physically felt awful. I'm 150 pounds now, so 27 pounds lighter than I am now. I had zero energy. I felt horrible, but I got down to that size that I wanted. And that made me happy, just the fact that I had attained that goal. I looked similar to those girls that were skinny, that were my idols, right? I looked similar to those girls, but I felt like crap and I barely ate, okay? So about a year after I got married is when I started doing CrossFit. For anybody who doesn't know what CrossFit is, it's amazing and you should look it up and try it. But CrossFit is basically a exercise program that is a combination of Olympic weightlifting and endurance training, okay? So I started doing CrossFit, and I actually absolutely fell in love with it for a number of reasons, but huge reason is because you do CrossFit in classes with other people, okay? And there's a coach for all the classes. So it was a community of people that with shared interests that were there to support me, and I was there to support them. It was this amazing tribe of people, and I just loved it. So I started doing that in 2013, okay? And that was a pivotal point for me because when I started doing CrossFit, I again saw some results. I started to get strong, okay? So I gained weight, no doubt, because again, after my wedding, I stopped doing Weight Watchers and I went right back to the way I was eating before. So all that weight that I lost, I gained it back, which I needed to gain some of it back. So that was good. But at the time, I didn't think it was good. And I started doing CrossFit at the same time, and I started gaining muscle because I was getting stronger. And the fact that I was getting stronger made me feel good about myself, but I was gaining my weight back, so I didn't feel overall good about myself. I was again telling myself that I was fat, that I was ugly, that I couldn't look like these women that I idolize. So in 2015 is when I graduated vet school. Woohoo! So excited about that. That was a huge accomplishment of mine. That was something I'd always wanted since I was 4 years old, right? So I then moved to Montana. I got a job in Montana in a mixed animal practice in the capital. So I moved there. I found I found a CrossFit gym there that I wanted to go to. I immediately started going there, fell in love with the people that were there, and I started working my job. So my job, I started working a job as a veterinarian, working about 50 to 60 hours per week, okay? So in the beginning, I didn't think a lot of this because I was new out of school. I was really excited. I wanted to just do everything and learn everything. But about a year in, I was really starting to feel the repercussions of working so much. And I also did not get along with my boss, and we had different views on how veterinary medicine should be practiced. So I was getting very stressed. I gained around 10 to 15 pounds kind of during that whole time frame when I was super stressed out, primarily because I was emotionally eating. I was still going to the gym, but my body was so stressed all the time that I didn't care about my eating. So I had to do something, right? So a friend of mine at the gym suggested counting macros, okay? And this was around like 2016-ish to early 2017, okay? So I was like, well, sure. I mean, I've tried everything else. Why wouldn't I try this? So for those of you who aren't familiar with macro counting, you're basically based on your weight, your goals, your activity level, you have an assigned number of macros. Those are your carbohydrates, fats, and protein that you can have in a day, okay? And these, for me, were very specific. So something like 145 grams of protein, 69 fat, 220 carbohydrates, like down to the number, okay? So at first, this was great. And counting macros was huge for me because it actually taught me why each of those categories are important, like why we need fats, why we need carbs, why we need protein, and like how those things actually fuel our body and how you feel when you're actually getting appropriate fuel to your body. So macro counting was definitely a pivotal point for me. But the struggle was that I was having a very hard time counting all the time. So when I went out to eat, I couldn't count my macros. I would do fantastic with my food prep during the week, but then on the weekend, I would be like totally off and I would reverse all my progress that I had done that week before, okay? So in the beginning of 2018, I changed jobs. Okay, I switched to a job where I was working about 30 hours a week, a much better situation for me, and my stress levels were just like gone, okay? I immediately lost somewhere between 5 to 10 pounds, didn't do anything different, changed anything, nothing. But I wasn't so stressed anymore. So that's, your body hangs on to that weight when you're stressed, okay? So around that same time, I wanted to start investigating other options for eating. And the big thing for me was that I wanted something that was sustainable. My entire life, I have gone through and I have done all of these different diet programs, and when I'm on them and I stick to them, I'm awesome. I have the results, but nothing has been sustainable, okay? So I wanted something that was really going to help me ingrain the fundamentals of how I need to eat and why I need to eat that way, that was going to stick with me and be something that I could do forever and ever, okay? And so somewhere around beginning of June of this year, I was approached about coaching, okay? And I'm not really going to go into my whole, like how I got started coaching part, because I'm going to talk about that in a later video about how coaching's changed my life. But I got approached about coaching, and at first I was like, no, that's not for me. And then after I thought about it for a while, I was open-minded because I'm an open-minded person, and was like, well, maybe I could just learn a little bit more about that. So I reached out to my coach, Micah, and I said, hey, I would like to learn a little bit more about what you do as a coach. And she was like, okay. And so she started talking to me about what she does as a coach. And then she started talking to me about a nutrition program called 2B Mindset. And she told me that this is a newer program that was released in May of this year. And the focus of the program is a no counting, no restrictions type of program. You're not counting calories, fats, carbs, macros, nothing. You're not restricted. There's nothing that you can't have on this diet. You are not forced to exercise to lose weight. You don't have to exercise. This program really has a focus on changing your mindset and the way you think about food. This program focuses on a healthy relationship with the scale. This program focuses on drinking enough water. So listening to her talk about this, I was like, wow, these are like all of the things that I have trouble with. Like I need to try this program, okay? So, and then she goes on to talk to me about Shakeology, which I was like, oh, well, I already have a protein shake. Like I don't need Shakeology. So then she goes on to tell me what all is in it and how it's a superfood shake, how it has probiotics, prebiotics, antioxidants, how it has vitamins, minerals, how it has so many different things. It has specific ingredients that help to support your immune system in it. And so as she's talking about this, I'm like, wow, well, I've been taking probiotics for years to support my gut health because that has always been an issue for me. So maybe I could try doing the Shakeology and stopping my probiotics. So I was like, okay, well, I'll try it. I'll try that. Okay. So I decided to try it. I was like, you know what? I'll just bite the bullet and I'll start, I'll sign up as a coach and I'll get the 2B Mindset Nutrition program. I'll try a month of the Shakeology with the workout programs because I have CrossFit, but I can supplement that on days I can't get to CrossFit with this, and I'll just try it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I waste my money or I send it back and get a refund, right? So you guys, I was so excited about the program. As soon as I checked out and paid for it, I immediately went to Beachbody On Demand, clicked the nutrition tab. I went to 2B Mindset and I started watching all the videos. So when you get set up with 2B Mindset, there's a series of videos on there that talks about like exactly how the program works. And I watched them all in like 2 days. Okay. I was so excited. I started that night tracking my food and following the program. Went to the grocery store that night. You guys, within about 10 days, I had already lost like 4 pounds. I was physically feeling amazing. And that was what the point was for me, okay? I was like, wow, this program is so easy. I feel so good. Like this is how I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. I have found the way that I'm going to eat for the rest of my life, and I have got to tell the entire world about it, okay? Once I came to that point, I was like, okay, this coaching thing is for me. Like, I literally just want to tell every single person I know about this thing that I'm doing because it's so freaking amazing, right? And so that was around mid-June of this year. And that was the ultimate changing point for me for coaching. That was what the program worked so well for me that I was like, I've got to help other people get set up with this and do this, because I know that I'm not the only one out there that struggles with my nutrition. I know I'm not the only one out there who's been a yo-yo dieter. I know I'm not the only one out there that's jumped from this program to that program to get results and then lose your results because it's not sustainable. So a sustainable nutrition program was what I was looking for, and I found it. And the rest is history. So, all right, you guys, I think that I have told you guys enough about my story, and that is basically a narrowed down version from, when I was a kid and how I grew up to where I'm at now as a Beachbody coach. Okay. And so, I was going to tell you guys, I'm only going to talk for like 1 more minute. So as far as what my goals are from here, right now I'm a part-time coach. Ultimately, I would like to be a full-time coach, keeping in mind that as a full-time coach, that's only about 15 to 20 hours a week. Okay. So the ladies who work as a full-time coach, that's what they do. And I say ladies, but anybody, 15 to 20 hours a week. And so I'm slowly progressing and working my way up there. But again, I've got my veterinary job, which I would never want to give up because that was one of my dreams. But along this whole journey, one of the biggest things I learned about myself is I like to help. I like to help people. I like to help people's animals, right? And so when I was a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian so I could grow up and help animals. Once I found this nutrition program, I wanted to help other people get results and be the healthiest version of them possible, right? And so that's what led me to where I'm at now. So, all right, you guys. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow. Bye, guys.